everyone, welcome to Kelly's Creative Dream Studios, and it is Finish It Friday, which means I'm starting this new series and jumping in with Maddie at Spectrum Art Creations to work on projects that I need to finish up. And don't we all have several of those kinds of projects we need to take care of? I thought what I would do so that I make sure that I stay up to speed on my journal so that I get it done in a timely fashion, that what I would do is I would finish the guest checks that we've been working on this week and get them out of the way. And then I will have something accomplished here. I'm setting up my timer so that I make sure that I stay on track. If you are new to my channel, then this is what I'm doing on Fridays now. I do a little bit of everything here, but we always have a monthly challenge. We are always doing a Tag Tuesday, and every other week we do a memory dex card. So if you're new to the channel, thanks for stopping in. I hope you'll click the subscribe button and come back. And if you've been here before, thanks for coming back in. You know you're some of my favorite people. So let's work on our guest checks. First off, let's show, if you hadn't seen before, this is the guest checks that we made yesterday. And I made use of some of these tickets that I had from Scrap Mirror that I got from Maddie at Spectrum Art Creations. Chat stickers from Tim Holtz, which I also bought at Spectrum Art Creations. You'll see a recurring theme here, the medals from Spectrum Art Creations. But I'm going to do things a little bit different today. I want to use the same kind of elements, but we're going to switch things up just a little bit. So let's set these off to the side. I have these. I've got 3 here. I doubt if I'm going to get through all 3 of them, but I'm going to give at least a shot at it. And I kind of know what I'm doing. Now remember, we were saving, we were cutting off the bottom of this, so we had just the number. And what I want to do with this is I want to do something a little different. I'll lay that over here so you can see it. I want to make a side paper clip on here. Just like that. And this is going to be part of the ticket that goes here instead of up at the top. And we're going to do something different up at the top. But I'm also doing something a little different. Remember, I try to keep things on a continuous spiel here of what I'm using. And I have been using this lace on here. And so that all 3 of these have the same, all 5 of these rather, will have the same lace on the side. I am going to go ahead and break into that. I may have to only do 1 or 2, because that may be all the lace I have handy. I may have to get another spool of this out of storage. But I wanted to talk about the silicone spatulas. Remember, I told you you don't want to just tear off the edges here, because since this is not mounted in there anywhere except for this being squeezed against it, it is possible to pop that out. And if you do, just pop it back open, shove it back in, and squeeze it back shut again with a pair of pliers. But to avoid having to do that, if you hold your silicone brush and instead of tugging, just kind of roll that glue off the edge, just like that, and it'll come right off without having to tug. Just roll it with your finger just like you would if you were taking off some rubber cement, and it'll come right off. Okay, now I'm going to put the lace on, which means I'm using my craft glue, and I've shown this before. But I'll come back in with my silicone brush, make sure that I get this on the side, and I'm just giving it a light brush on here with my silicone brush. Silicone brushes are great tools. I wouldn't know what to do without mine, I think, when it comes to spreading glue, because if you've been to my channel before, you know how easy it is for me to wear glue. And the silicone brushes prevent me from doing that quite as bad. And then I have my fabric scissors buried under here somewhere. There they are. All my other scissors have orange handles. These are pink, and I have a piece of ribbon tied on the end of them so that I know they are my ribbon scissors. Okay, so there's that, and I'm going to go ahead, while I've got the glue and stuff out, I'm going to go ahead and see how much more of this ribbon I can use. And I'd love to be able to get to all 3 of these, but I'm not sure it's going to happen, but we're going to go ahead and put the lace down, and then this part will be done. Just like that. And I've tried to keep this as close as I could so that maybe I can get all of them out of here, but yeah, it's going to be tight. It's going to be tight. So there's that one, and let's see what happens. Look at that. I am just going to make it. Isn't that cool? It's the little things that excite me, I tell you. So Bob came home yesterday, and aside from me spending most of the day getting stuff into jars, I took breaks here and there, and we played cards, and we do 2 out of 3. We play 2 out of 3 hands. Then we'll take a break and do other stuff that need to be doing, and then we'll come back and we'll do another 2 out of 3. And we call those battles. The 2 out of 3 rounds are called battles. And when we played our final round for the day, then we call it the war. And all the battles collectively become the war. And I won the war yesterday. I won the majority of our 2 out of 3 games, which was cool. Welcome home, sweetie. I beat ya. Oh, and you know what? I forgot to take the bottom off of this one. So I'm going to have little dabs of lace left, but that's okay. I can come back through and I can snip that off right there. And I hadn't done it on this one. Why didn't y'all remind me? Stop me. All you had to do was say stop. Not that I could have heard you, but you know, I might have felt the strain over there. Okay, so there's those. I'll get that little piece clipped off of there. Okay, so now we have those. Now what are we doing with this? I want to use one of these tickets that aren't quite so, they're not totally fall, but they'll work. We can make them work, we can adjust. I'm going to move these over off to the side for just a minute. I've been using the guest checks and the tickets combined, and I'm going to go ahead and cut that one apart here with my scissors. Okay, just like that. And then our quarter, and I'm just going to go ahead and set all 3 of these tickets up so they'll be ready to go. Use our quarter punch here. Snip those off. So I'm going away this weekend and spend the weekend. I'm going to spend all day tomorrow with my sister. We're going to go to Relics Indoor Vintage Antique Market and go to a flea market and see a friend of ours. This one's got a little too much white on the end of it. I'm going to clip it off first. And then I'm spending a couple of days in the city while Bob house sits and takes care of the animals. And see if I can't get my planners caught up so I don't make any more boo-boos about what was supposed to post when. And get those little things. Try to get my schedule on track. So I'm going to spend a couple of days in the city. Okay, now I do want to remember to... Did I do all of those? I did. I got them all done. Okay, so I'd move that out of the way. I'd come back with my finger dauber. And before I do that, we needed to trim this one off. Just like that. And I think this one needs to get trimmed off. Just like that. I didn't clip that one very well. But we'll pretend it's done. We'll pretend. Because I'm going to cover part of that up, I think, anyway, with a pumpkin, so it's not going to be an issue. So today, so that I can get work caught up ahead of time, get videos done so that I can run away this weekend, he is off with his buddy today, spending some guy time. And then he'll come back this evening. I'll be done working, he'll be done playing, and we can do our own thing. Now I do want to use this ticket in combination with this. So I want to ink the numbers to make this stand out against that background. I don't know whoever thought of distress ink, but excuse me, they're my friend. Okay. I need another piece of paper for that. And I've got scrap, oh, you know what? I have scrap brown here But I am going to do this just like this. This will slide in just like this. And I want to make sure it's going to be long enough. It is to go right there. And actually I can cut it a little shorter, just like that. Okay. That's going to work. So now I need, and this one I do want to use, definitely use my craft glue because it's a strong glue, but it's also very quick drying. So I'm going to put this down here around my paper clip. I could use the hot glue gun, but I'm not a fan of using hot glue for things because hot glue is not permanent. People put stuff together with hot glue all the time, not realizing it is not permanent. It will release in temperature changes, and that's not a good thing. Okay, so now I can come in, and I can use my Tombow, and I could use the craft glue, but I like the liquid glue for this, and this is the one I usually wear. But we're just going to pop it right in the center, right there. Okay. And I'm not going to put anything on the back of this. I'm not concerned about what's on the back. But then this will slide right into there. And I can put it up here at the top just like I did the one yesterday and hide that number. Okay. Now, we used washi tape yesterday, and we used some of the paper trims, some of the scraps, and I'm going to do that. I want to change it up a little bit. I have all the trims in here. I really do like using this leaf, but I don't think it's going to, that piece isn't going to be long enough. But I have one here. We can use that one. We can use that one. You know, and I said I wanted to change this up a little bit, and I really am not. I'm really not. So I'm going to tear this, except I am going to tear it instead of cutting it. And if you'll notice, I'm tearing away, so that's giving me this edge instead of the white core showing. Okay. So we have that, and we're going to edge that. And instead of the washi tape on these three, I want to use some burlap ribbon that I have from Stampin' Up. And I'm going to, that can take both of those because I tore it pretty wide instead of having it cut. It comes out wider when you tear it. You can't really tear a very narrow strip very well. So I'm going to go right there. Okay. Clip that off. And then I want to come in with the burlap ribbon. And the reason I'm using the burlap is it's adding a little bit more texture. Yeah, I'm not going to get to all three of these today. We're going to be lucky if we get to one. Now this is a little bit more dense. And I'm only going to use part of it, so I'm going to figure out I need to come over about here. And put that down. And now's when I really need a piece of my wax paper. So I can press that down without it sticking. And we'll give that a minute to here. While I talk about what I'm going to do next, I want to add these buttons. Now these are clear buttons that I bought from Maddie at Spectrum Art Creations. And because they're clear, I can make them whatever color I want. And I colored this one with the dark green shaded spruce stamping blend from Jiminy Christmas, now suddenly I can't talk. From Stampin' Up. And I'm going to take a little bit of this. I couldn't find another color that I liked. So I'm going to use this brown. somewhere in here there is an edge. And if I can't find an edge, I'll make an edge. And then I'll wind up with pieces later, but that's okay. There we go. If I can get them to come untangled from one another. Man alive today, I tell you. There we go. And that one's probably going to be underneath everything. But I don't need a very big piece. That's probably plenty. And I'm going to run this through. And run this through. Now it is a little bit of a concave, so there is kind of a more flat front and back to this. There we go. And because I am going to wind up wasting a little bit of it because I need enough that I can tie. And if we can keep a hold of it, we'll tie a little square knot in the top of this. And then we'll come back and trim those pieces off. Okay. My fingers are not working well this morning, and I have to can tomatoes yet today, so this should be a fun day. Now I'm going to come back and trim this off. Now this will take a little bit more time to dry. That's okay. I have time later for this. But I wanted to come back and I wanted to use, instead of the pumpkin, I want to use, I was going to say I want to use a sunflower on there. But I think, for the interest of time, I think I'm going to use one of these. These are from Tim Holtz. Large botanicals. And I'm going to use those, and I'm also going to put them on with dimensionals so that it will pop a little bit. Scoot that up, scoot that up. Now, after I finish filming today, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to do these last two, and you'll get to see them when they are finished in the final flip through of this journal the end of the month. You'll see how they came out. Now I've got smaller, narrow spaces down here, so I'm going to add some of my smaller dimensionals down here in the tiny spots. I'm not afraid of using my dimensionals. That's what I pay for them for. I'm trying not to hoard things, and thus I'm trying to get projects done. Now next Friday, for Finish It Friday next week, I hope to be finishing up pink ribbon journals so I can finally get those in the shop. I know I was supposed to have had stuff in the shop by now, but I couldn't get to my table to take pictures of things, and then I lost track of where I had put the journals that I wanted to put in the shop. So I have a bunch of ribbons going in the shop. I have 3 journals for sure going in the shop, and I'm going to fine-tune the Halloween journals that I had shown before. Okay, and so we have that, and one more quick thing. We're going to go back to our cat stickers. And I want to add this button right down there so I've got something a little more tangible to hold on to. So I'm going to put a little bit of my craft glue up and stick it right down there. Just like that. Now I've also pulled the Stampin' Blends out in orange and brown, so I could have done an orange one there. But I'd have been okay. Let's see, since that's a flower and we're picking, let's do Cultivate Kindness on this one. And then we've done one more of the 5 guest checks I need for this journal. So tomorrow is Sack Saturday, and I'm going to be doing a project for her Wobbles challenge. And it's going to be adding something to my bee journals that I also need to get finished. So come back tomorrow and see what I do with wobblers. What are wobblers? What do they do, and how can you use them in your paper crafting? I will show you. In the meantime, remember to like, to share, subscribe, and creative blessings.